People think like, oh, they passed away and they're gone. But I don't believe that. I believe that they're always present. And although they're not here physically, I do believe that they're here. I got introduced to Dia De Los Muertos as a young teacher. One of my colleagues, Graciela Olivar, who later became my comadre, we just had this idea of doing something for Dia De Los Muertos. It's a tradition. I don't even know if it would be called a holiday. The tradition is about remembering. That's how I would describe it. It's about remembering and about honoring. You saw, people going to the cemetery, cleaning the plot, putting the flowers, bringing out things that that person liked or things that symbolized that person. It could be a very humble arco, they call it an arco, or ofrenda, or it could be a very elaborate one. So we just thought, we loved the idea of doing something like that. So then as teachers, it was just important, to inform the kids about why it's important to honor our dearly departed and to remember. Somebody came before us and we're able to reap some of those benefits and help to make the road a little smoother for those who are coming after us. People think it's about, dressing up like a skeleton or, the definition is, it just varies. The way it's celebrated in other places in Mexico is different. And then the way it's celebrated here also is different. I started thinking, well, let's do something in my home. So I started putting together a little altar. And then I remembered about my grandmother and how my grandma always had that space in her room with her candles and her Cristo and her Virgen. It was just a small space. It wasn't anything big, and she didn't call it an altar. It was her space that she had to, remember and pray. And so then I started thinking, hey, this has always been part of our family, but we just didn't call it Dia de los Muertos. And having a space in our home, a space where, you go to reflect, to remember, to pray. It's a space where we can remember. It's a space where we can realize that these folks were here. I mean, these folks walked this, life just like we're walking right now. It's an opportunity to share stories. I think it's a very important thing is to tell the story of who they are and who they were and what they did. I want my son to know who his antepasados were. I want him to remember who they are. I want him to know that when somebody passes away, like currently, we have a space in our home to keep them there and remember who they were and who they are, because they are. Siempre están aquí. Those are, people think like, oh, they passed away and they're gone. But I don't believe that. I believe that they're always present. They're always presente. And although they're not here physically, I do believe that they're here, and not just once a year, not just around Dia de los Muertos, they're here. So, our altar stays up every day. Our altar represents a lot. It represents, first of all of our family, right? All of, like my brother who's there, I'm calling on him all the time, watch over your kids, watch over your grandkids. There's certain folks up there who I have watching over my son. There's certain folks there that I have watching over, me, my parents, I hope that when my son moves out of our house, going to college, that he has someplace in his dorm, just a little, it doesn't have to be elaborate, but just some small space where he can remember. Sometimes people might think, oh God, that's morbid or whatever. And you know what? People will think what they think. But as long as we know why we're doing it, then that doesn't matter. So I hope, he will carry this on.